What's up, guys? Welcome back to the MMA channel with me, Marisol Moran. Today we're going to be doing the next installment of my series, the MMA Mailbag, essentially where you guys send me in questions and I answer them. So let's get into it. So I do have all of the questions on my phone, and the first question is wrestling better than Jujitsu? And I might have a bit of a response that you are not expecting, and that is essentially that wrestling is better than Jujitsu when it comes to an MMA application. And this is probably why this question was even asked to begin with. I have mentioned in a few videos in the past that if somebody just would have had wrestling, if the fighter would have just had some wrestling skills, they would have been more dominant, they would have won said fight. I've said this multiple times now. Like I said, this is probably why this question is being asked. And it's been a while since you guys have sent in these questions, so I did actually have the opportunity to speak with a friend of mine about some of them, and this was one of them. And that friend of mine really did open up my eyes to this opinion of it actually being better. And that, it's something that ultimately when it comes to MMA, wrestling is a better skill to have than Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. As you could imagine, as somebody who practices Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, I was definitely originally inclined to say Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. But when it comes to an MMA application, the wrestler has the ability to dictate where the fight goes. So if you're a wrestler, you can stay standing on your feet and just stand and bang. But if that's not working out for you, you can easily take your opponent down to the ground. And if you also have Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu skills, you can take the person down and then have the perfect opportunity for your Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu skills to truly shine and just submit the heck out of someone. Now, I've talked about this, like I said, with the fighters. A clear example is actually Brian Ortega when he fought Max Holloway. He's a phenomenal Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu practitioner, but he did not have the opportunity to actually have those skills shine and be in an environment, i.e. the ground, where he can actually win that fight. So ultimately, when it comes to MMA, yes, wrestling is better. Okay, so the second question is, why does Conor deserve a shot at the title with Khabib? And the answer to this question is he doesn't. It might seem like he does because of the name he has built for himself, and from a business standpoint, a fight against Khabib anytime would definitely bring in the money, but he doesn't deserve it. Not at all. Given the fact that he has built a name for himself, I definitely could see him coming in, winning a fight, and then getting the title shot. But I think he at least needs one win before actually fighting Khabib again. Okay, so the next question is, have you ever had any awkward experiences being a female practicing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu? So I have. And I've had a few different awkward experiences. However, the one that definitely reigns supreme is way back when I was just a little baby belt, white belt. I was actually training and sparring with another girl. And I believe she was a white belt as well. Maybe had some stripes on her because she did get a better position on me, as I'll get into. But she didn't actually end up submitting me. But anyway, so like I said, she was in a better position. So eventually she got either mount or she was in my half guard, one of the two. But essentially she was smashing me, putting a ton of pressure on me. However, as is somewhat common in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, sometimes people don't wear rash guards or shirts under their gi. And if you're a guy, that's fine. Personally, for hygienic reasons, I'd prefer everybody wear a shirt or a rash guard. But if you're a guy, okay. But a woman showing up to Jiu-Jitsu in just a sports bra under her gi presents different awkward opportunities, I suppose. And I happened to have fallen into one of those awkward opportunities where this chick was on top of me, putting a lot of pressure on me, either in mount or in my half guard. Either way, I was on the bottom, just losing this match. And it ended up where her tatas were just all up in my face. And it was a very awkward position. I was extremely uncomfortable, and PSA to every woman out there, wear a shirt. Guys wear shirts too, but definitely the women wear a shirt, because I could only imagine how even more awkward a man would have felt in that position. So my heart definitely goes out to the guys who have had to deal with that, because that is definitely an extremely uncomfortable position to be in, especially if, you're a dude. But it was, even for me as a woman, I was definitely uncomfortable in that position as well. The next question is, what is the certificate on your wall? So I have this certificate here, and this actually is my certificate for my black belt in Japanese Jiu-Jitsu. I got it a little over 3 years ago now, which is crazy to think about that it's been that long. But yes, I did Japanese Jiu-Jitsu, and yes, it is different from Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, but it was definitely an interesting skill to acquire, and then also just to see the similarities that it does have with Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu as well. And the key difference is that Japanese Jiu-Jitsu is mostly a standing art, whereas Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is definitely more of a grappling art on the ground. But that's what that is. I do have another one above it, which rarely makes an appearance on this channel. It does make more of an appearance on my Instagram account, and that is my master's in public administration, which is just hanging right above it. So the next question, what do you think about Zhang Weili, and does she have the skill set to defeat Valentina Shevchenko? These are some interesting questions. So Zhang Weili, I have done 2 videos on her now, and I'll link them down below. You can check them out. I think she is absolutely phenomenal. I think that she has the absolute potential to be a huge star in the UFC. I've followed her on Instagram for a while now, and that's one of the reasons why I think she has the potential to be such a huge star in the UFC. She has such a great personality. She's hilarious. She did one post on her Instagram where she did similar poses to the panda and Kung Fu Panda, and it was hilarious. So she has a great personality, definitely likes to make jokes a lot and often. So she has a really good sense of humor. In the video that I'll link down below about her, I mentioned that if she were to learn English, it would definitely help her to be an even bigger star and just up her likability skills, because she'll be able to communicate with a much larger audience. And she's actually doing that now. She posted on a while back, she posted on Instagram that she is learning English and really practicing. And I'm thinking that maybe there's somebody on her team now who helps her as well with her posts, because the level of English that she's been writing in has been significantly improving as well. So I'm thinking that maybe she has a little bit of help in the interim. But in terms of that, I think she has vast potential to be huge in the UFC. I also think that she'll be a very dominant champion in the 125 division, not the 125 division. Wow, the 115 division. So yeah, I think that we're going to see a very dominant champion. I'm not, off the top of my head, I can't even name one person in her division that I think is going to actually really give her a hard time. I know Joanna is trying to come at her and get that title shot, but even with Joanna, she's still pretty one-dimensional, whereas Zhang Weili has much more to her, and she has some crazy power. So I think that she's absolutely phenomenal. When it comes to her being competitive against Valentina Shevchenko, that's where I have my doubts. Yeah, Valentina is just a beast on the ground. She's a beast standing. I mean, she head kicked Jessica Ai into another dimension earlier this year. And she's submitted people in the past as well. I mean, of course, I definitely think that her skill set in the grappling area can be improved. But what we already have and have seen there is absolutely phenomenal in and of itself. It's already a very high level. So when it comes to that going against Zhang Weili, I think that Zhang Weili has some catching up to do. But that just makes sense. And when it comes to them actually fighting each other, I don't think that should happen anytime soon. I think Zhang Weili should definitely solidify herself as the champion in her division before trying to compete against another champion. So I think we have, I would say, at least 2 years before that happens. So we'll see if it happens at all anyway. But yeah, I definitely think that Zhang Weili is going to be a very strong champion and have a lot of star power. But thank you guys for sending me these questions. Let me know what any of you think down below about any of the questions that I talked about today. Have you, like any women out there as well, or just guys as well, if you commiserate with my experience? Has anybody else had any awkward experiences in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu? Or does anybody else practice Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu or any other martial art? Let me know in the comments down below. And as always, don't forget to like this video and to subscribe for more content. I'll see you in the next one.